You see, it's not uncommon. I'm sorry I'm hollering. I got these earplugs in. But you see, it's not uncommon. See that wart? That junk? It's not uncommon. That's why I turn my bowls thick. If you can see, I already started milling this. I don't know if you can get a good shot of that or not, but I started milling this, and this side is touching. This side hasn't been cut. Just a little bit right here. What happens is, when you speed dry a bowl, you've got to turn it thick in order to put it back on the lathe in hopes that you don't bust it. I've done it before. I busted them before. So I'm going to turn the vac on, get things situated right here, and try to get this bowl. This is a salt and pepper bowl. Got a partition in the middle of the bowl. One side salt, one side's pepper. And this is the lid that I've started for the bowl. It's out of the same grain. You see that grain right there, that smiley grain? Look at that smiley grain right there. That's the same. That is the same block of wood. You'll have to overlook me. I've got bronchitis. See, that's warped. What I've got to do is I've got to straighten this out. Then I'll dry this and leave my tenon on this. Dry it just like it is. Just like it is. And I'll probably have to put this back on the lathe because the grain of the heart did run right this way. And what it'll do, it'll bow up. It'll pull right toward that heart, or where that heart was. So what I'll do is I'll sand this. I'll dry it just like it is. I'll cut this in hopes that I don't bust it. You see how that is? It's the same. That's the same block of wood. Same block of wood. But I've got to thin it down. I turned it thick. If you'll notice, it don't match up. For the simple fact is, I've got to put it back on the lathe once I speed dry it. But now, I'll get this cut. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if you can see it or not. Right here is some white. Right here it's kind of rounded. That's due to the drying process. As with the same thing, it bowed, it pulled when I speed dry. Speed drying is putting it in a microwave, depending on the thickness of your bowl. Now, the good thing about walnut's already got oil in it, but I always add extra oil. But when you speed dry, depending on the thickness of your piece, will determine how long you leave it in the microwave. You can leave it in the microwave for, say, 1 minute at a time. Pull it out, let it set, let it room temperature cool. You can see the check marks. That's where it's dry. You look for those. But you let it get room temperature and cool. Then you put it back in the microwave for another minute. Like I said, sometimes a minute. If it's real thick, 2 minutes. Set it out on some paper towels or a towel. Let the water, you can watch the water run out of it. You can actually see the condensation coming out of the piece. But that's how that works. Speed drying. And if you turn something big, like a dough bowl, say 2 foot, of course you're not going to get it in the microwave. You can put it in the oven for 100 degrees, constantly keeping a check on it. Don't let it stay in there all day long. Let it dry for, say, 10 minutes. Pull it out and let it get our room temperature. And look for check marks. Look for the condensation running out. As you begin the process of speed drying, now this is what I've learned. I'm no professional wood turner. I've learned this the hard way by ruining a lot of good stuff. But as you speed dry it, you'll get less and less condensation or water or saturation out of that piece. And as you begin to get less saturation on paper towel, say if you put it on a paper towel, You raise that paper towel up and look, you can see the bar top or the tabletop or wherever you're working, wherever you're drying. You'll see it's wet. You'll see the paper towel's wet. And as you dry, as you go along, constantly check under that towel or paper towel for condensation. You'll get less and less as you go on with the process. Now, let me tighten that chuck up just a little bit. It's going to be loud. I got my air system on. I got my wife silencers in. That's what I call them, my wife silencers. Always make sure that your piece is in there. You don't want it flying off the chuck. Make sure you got good clearance. Now you can see this thing as it begins to, I may not turn that air on right now. Keeping your carbide tool parallel to the floor. Looking good. Now, let's check and see if that bowl is going to sit. Perfect. Checking for cracks. Like I said, it's a little wide as far as the diameter on the outside. The inside's pretty tight. Now, like I also said, you want to turn it kind of thick. Now, the reason I turned it super thick is I'm going to mill it down to match the bead that I put on here. See, you'll have 3 beads. You'll have the bead that I cut, and you'll have the seam where the lid goes onto the bowl. And I'll put a little knob on top once I get finished. But this is the process that you have to go through. Feels pretty good. Now here's where you want to turn your air on. That fine so good. Everything I cut thick. For the simple fact is, you have to mill. Now it's a little warped on the outside. The insides are perfect. That looks good. Maybe a little mill on the outside. You want to be careful, because you've already got stress cracks. I don't know if I'm yelling or not, if you can hear me or not. But as you begin stress cracks, you start this. Making just a little bit. Starts to run a little smoother. You want to watch. And you can see right here, you can see where I cut it, and it didn't touch. That was the high side. What you cut was the high side. Now, as you can see, the bead is almost gone here. You got plenty of beads right here. So recut the bead. Pretty good. Pretty good. Do that just a little bit. For the simple fact is, you can tell the bead is off right here. See right there? That's a quick fix.